incredible, and I know why. I'm excited, you guys are excited. Without any further ado, let's bring out the guest of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Stewart!
Hello.
Are you being a gentleman? You're waiting for her to sit down? Okay. Oh, you're such a gentleman. You just gotta pop them on. There you go.
Yeah, I was raised that way in Brooklyn, but I also live in Nashville, so, you have to be a Southern gentleman, right? You should always do that. Right? Right?
Yeah.
And the revolving doors, right? Do you know who goes through those first? Man. You push the door for her.
Oh.
Good question.
Wow.
Something new you learned from Uncle Eric.
This is so educational.
Eric
What to go
senpai.
on. There you go. No, honestly, that's how you do that. You push the door first. And that's not to be sexist. It's just because, just in case there's danger on the inside, you're the one that gets hurt first. Right?
You square up.
Is it on?
Unless you're going.
There we go.
Oh,
Yay,
Long
yes.
story.
you never know what lurks behind a revolving
No, I
door.
didn't. No.
Yep. Those are t-shirts that we're going to be selling later.
Speaking of t-shirts, can you show off your lovely...
Yeah, do you like this?
Guys, check out the Super Fun brand.
Yeah, when I saw the staff wearing these, I was like, it just sort of fits with my whole, the Doc Martens, the hat, the whole thing. This is like the coolest convention staff swag I've ever seen, right?
Swag.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm representing.
Swag. Hashtag
All right,
represent.
there we go.
But you make it look good.
Very
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
Well, it's so
Hashtag
wonderful
branding.
to have you both here.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank
Of
you.
course, I mean, Team Rocket. I mean, obviously, like, Pokemon is such a big part of our culture, and especially anime culture. I just want to know, how has being part of such a huge franchise impacted both of your lives?
Well, for me, it was one of the very first acting jobs in voiceover that I ever got.
Oh, wow.
I was a student in New York, and I learned, just speaking generally, I just learned so much working on the show. I didn't have a great deal of experience, I was still studying, but I got a chance to basically do my dream job, which I wanted to do since I was really tiny. And it was so amazing. And so because we work in a small booth and there's a little TV and you don't really know what the outside world is reacting to, so we had no idea who was watching. But for me personally, being in the studio and working on this show and just feeling like it was just this wonderful show that I personally liked, and working with Eric and Veronica and Maddie and the whole host of all these different voice actors from various different backgrounds, it was like the first time in my life that I felt, wow, this is a wonderful collaboration. This feels really right. There's something about the show that feels like this is the good path to be on. And so when we were doing it, before it even aired, it felt like it had an impact on my life. I learned so much. And I got to work with such talented people and musician, Eric has a music background. Maddie was like a musician, illustrator. Veronica was theater, and I was theater. So I grew a lot, and then when it became popular,
Show ever, or this is the greatest movie, or this is the greatest product ever, this is a huge campaign. So you start to, you're a little cynical with that sort of stuff. And I had been doing voiceover stuff for a little while. Not a lot of anime or cartoons. I had finished working on Slayers as Gowry, which was a fun show. So like I had been doing some things, and of course, the original actor that they had cast for Brock, and during the first session they decided, I think we should call Eric. So he never aired. That was never used, and so they called me. Hey, second best is cool. So I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So I was Brock, and at that time, a good friend of mine, our good friend of ours, Ted Lewis, was playing James for the first, 8 episodes or something like that. And Ted is a very, very talented theatrical actor, very comedic, dramatic, just amazing personality. And had an opportunity to go do a show
that was not a cartoon to go act in a play. He was like, I'm going to go do this. So I was brought in to first imitate Ted. They were like, we think you could do this. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And another funny part about the show was we were getting the episodes piecemeal, like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. The producers had no idea where this show was going, what these characters were really about. And the first thing they said to me was, James and Jessie, Team Rocket, are very serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
When I auditioned for Jessie, I don't know about you, but
Well, I was imitating Ted's very flat, monotone kind of, everything was very serious like this. And I was like, I have a feeling they're the comedic bad guys. And the director was like, no,
yeah.
right?
They said that. They said they're very, very serious, and they're very like make every line you say rough.
Yeah.
So
right.
when you hear those first lines in those first episodes, it's like to protect the world from devastation.
Yeah,
You want to
and it was
grit it
very-
through your teeth.
It was funny because I'm going, okay, I'll do it like you asked. And I think the next episode, James was in drag. And I said, so what do you want me to do? Play this one straight, or do you want me to play this one funny? And they were like, well, so all of the silliness that came with the woo and all this laughing stuff, all of that stuff was the stuff that I brought to it only because, Ted didn't have a chance to see that this is where it was evolving to. So anyway, so we worked on the show, and you go, okay, great, whatever, and of course they're like, it's going to be huge, it's going to be huge. And when it did become huge, it was insane because everyone knew what Pokemon was. And you asked how it affected me. Well, I grew up watching like obscure anime like Battle of the Planets and Star Blazers and all sorts of stuff like that. And it was like you'd have to go and look at the back of the video store to find an anime videotape. You guys remember what those are, right? And all of a sudden, we're working on something that's going to be on mainstream television, on Saturday morning cartoons in America, right? So, how many conventions do you guys think happen in this country a year? Yeah. How many of those conventions were in existence before a show like Pokemon? So here's why I think it's such a powerful thing, not just because we worked on that show. It created a place for our fandom that was a little bit more mainstream and introduced people to these types of shows, and also introduced the idea that it's okay to be, I'm a geek and a nerd, I'm a gamer, I love this stuff, right? It gave us a place to be a community, and the conventions popping up left and right. So when you get the, why did they change this, and why did they do that, and why did they do this, why did they keep it the original, why? So that it would be more universal to a wider audience and create this kind of environment. So I will say, you can thank a show like Pokemon for creating the anime community.
And to follow up with that, what I think is also so fantastic is it really is for all ages. It's like, I have my little cousins that love Pokemon and my 73-year-old mom who knows what Team Rocket is. It's like, it's literally for everybody.
That's true. 6
Yes.
years old, 60 years old. And it's also because the show did always have a moral. It wasn't preachy, but there's something that, you could learn something from it. I like humor. But it's not like complete toilet humor. It's not just inappropriate stuff. It's funny when it needs to be funny, but there's always a moral to the story. And I think, because I have faith in humanity, I think that at the core of all of us, there is something that we still feel is like, that's worthwhile. I don't mind my kids watching that show, or I'm learning something from that. So I think that's why it can appeal to this huge age group.
Absolutely. No, it's so fantastic.
Yeah, whenever we were, as Eric was saying, that he didn't know that James was going to be in drag in the next episode, which tells you something about how we came to become familiar with the show, episode by episode, line by line, scene by scene. We, honestly, I didn't know that, for example, Misty was the youngest of all girls. I'm the youngest of all girls. And the directors and the way her sisters were treating her, my sisters called me after an episode with Misty's sisters, and they said, did they base Misty on you? Okay, so did the people in Japan know about our family? And
And I said, "You're joking, right?" And she said, "No, did you see the episode?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "We used to tease you like that." And I said, "Well, no, they've been producing the show that episode was produced like 2 years ago, I mean, before we were even hired, so," and she goes, "Oh," and she's like, "Uh-huh." I don't think she believed me, but it's like, these things are, I didn't know that about Misty when I was hired. And so these things are just slowly being found out, and it's, this is how we found out about the show. So we didn't know all of these pieces of information. We found out as we went, and so we found out piecemeal, pretty much like everyone else as you're viewing it. So it was a very, very organic process for us. So yeah, it is very much. It has so many universal themes, so many ages, and people can relate to it very much. And I've noticed that whenever the kids go to a new town, they don't say, "Hey, let's do a battle." They don't necessarily say, "Let's see what we can get from this place." They usually say something like, "What can we do to help?" Like they come across somebody who's dealing with a difficult situation, and Ash says, "Well, is there anything that we can do to help?" I mean, these little kids traveling from place to place, and the first thing they want to do is just be of service.
Or get a date.
Or get a Brock is like a... Brock has just got more energy than any animal.
Go get another joy! Go get another joy!
Someone, I think it was yesterday, asked me to sign something and write "not the ear." No, not the ear. And of course, Misty would always grab Brock by the ear, and actually, no, not the ear, right? That was an ad lib that was never in the script. That I had to say it through my teeth because there was never any lip flap. And even there were scenes where I was like, look, she's grabbing my ear. I know we're going to another scene where they're not there, but I have to stick that line in there. So there'd be scenes sometimes where I'd throw it on like the next scene, which would be like some beachfront where like in the distance you'd hear, "Not the ear." It just had to be there in the show. So I thought it was really cool that somebody actually was like, "Oh, that's my favorite line in the entire series."
So at the end of every episode, that means, at the end of every episode you have that rectangle that would recede into the upper left-hand corner, "to be continued," and then they would be going off into the sunset, and I think that would have been hilarious if Brock were still saying, Misty was just doing this, but I think that was a missed opportunity.
I think so too.
Rewrites. All right, so we do have a microphone right in the middle of the room. If you guys have any questions, is anything off limit, guys? Before.
No, go ahead.
All right, and I urge you, if you guys have questions, please ask, and you guys can line up too as well. We got some time. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Cynthia.
Hi.
Hello.
I know it's been about
Could you hold
9
my,
years now since Maddie's passed away, but I wanted to know, what was your most fondest moment with her either of you?
Oh, wow. See, yeah. What was really cool was I definitely had a great opportunity to not only act in the show, but also direct some of the other actors in the show. Most of the time, you do your thing, and then you leave the booth, and the next person comes in, and we say hello to each other in passing and stuff like that. And we rarely get a chance to actually interact that way. And so that was a really special bond for me to get to work with Rachel that way, and Veronica, and of course with Maddie. Maddie was such an interesting person. Funny, just sardonic and funny, but truly sweet. Like at the core was just one of the kindest people, and would always make me laugh in those sessions because I think I understood, where she was coming from, right? Because some people were like, "Oh, you're being difficult, this and that." No. That's just part of this whole sort of persona. And Meowth was so perfect. The comedy between the three of us. We easily could have sat in a room together and just riffed. We could have easily done that because I really think that those three characters understood each other in the comedy. So there's no one specific favorite moment, working with Maddie. But I will say this: that it is a tremendous loss that she's no longer working in the industry because there's so many things that could have been. But I do know that she would be really, really happy that her name is still mentioned,
that you listen to those shows, that you respect the work, because it was always about, will they think it's funny? All she wanted to do was make you laugh. So if that's what's going on, and it's still going on, then I think she's happy.
Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
Colin.
Yeah.
Got a two-parter. Okay, first one. I don't know if you remember this, Eric, but in the movie 2000, my favorite.
Is that the one with the unknown?
No, that was number 3. Number 2.
See, I don't know. It's all one long journey.
Number 2.
2000 was with the movie.
Oh, thank you, Rachel.
I don't know if you remember, but in
Obviously, Rachel does.
extended soundtrack for 2000, I believe Rock has a musical number where he sings about whether he wants Jenny or Joy.
Two Perfect Girls?
Yes!
Yeah, that's what was that like?
That was in that movie? I remember that being in the live, the live soundtrack that was in that. But it was in the movie too? I don't know.
No, it was in the extended soundtrack, but what was
Oh, the bonus footage. Okay. With the outtakes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah.
It was interesting because as someone who considers himself a professional singer as well, when you're doing character stuff like that, I was asked to not sing well. So and that's harder than you think, because to fight against rhythm and fight against pitch so that you're not doing it as well as you want to do it was tough. It's easier to sing like James because they allowed me to be very sort of David Bowie, Tim Curry with him, which I think made sense. But Brock needed to be bad. So that was a tough song to do because of that.
The other part, what were your guys' thoughts on the motto, and any chance you guys could do it? The motto?
I don't think we could do it because it changed every week. But you probably could do a better version of it. I mean, my thoughts on the motto were, it was great depending on who went first, right? Sometimes Rachel recorded her lines before I did mine, or I would do mine first. So it was great because if she went first, even if it wasn't the first line, or if it was the first line, it was great to play off of each other. And you don't always get that chance, and that's where, to me, the comedic sense of, oh, I can't believe you guys didn't record those things together at the same time. Well, that's because I think that we sort of comedically knew how to work off of each other like that. That's all give and take.
It was a bit of a crash course in that, in like counterpoint.
Yeah.
And the motto and the battling of the themes of the episode, those were two major things in anime that recur. Like, it's a part of a Japanese animation. They have a lot of battling animes, and they have villains who do mottos, and I did not know that before going. And they said, no, that's a thing. They will come in, they will pose, and they will sing, or they will dance, or they will just introduce themselves in advance. And I said, that's what the rose. James has a rose. And
He's flamboyant.
That's a thing too. And I said, I feel like I need to study a bit up on this because this is all new. This is all very new to me. So yeah, the motto. My thoughts on the motto were, okay, this is something that is done. And that you don't see it in American animation, so I felt that there was like a bit of an adjustment. At all.
I would like to see that though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
In American animation?
Yeah.
I think just in general, when you just walk into a room, you should have a motto. Just people in general.
Oh my
You never
goodness.
answered the
Yes.
question in your song, by the way.
What?
Jenny or Joy?
No, well, Brock can't make up his mind. Have you ever been a 15-year-old boy? Now you understand.
Just a note, just for time restrictions, we're just going to keep it to one question
Yeah.
per person. What's your name? Go ahead.
Who's your favorite student?
Squirtle, because I got to play Squirtle and the Squirtle Squad. And he wears sunglasses, he wears Ray-Bans. I just thought that was kind of cool for a Pokemon.
I like Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff, I mean, how can you not love the pink puppy thing that kind of looks like a snack cake?
Yeah.
What else could you
It's cool, dude. It's cool. It's fine.
You also voiced Jigglypuff.
Yes.
I did
Are you a
voice
Raven?
Jigglypuff.
Are you a Ravenclaw? Dude, that's awesome. Oh, I'm a Gryffindor. But my girlfriend is a Ravenclaw.
Guys, I'm Mariana. First of all, you guys were my childhood. I'm like starstruck to meet you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
My question is, why do you guys think that musicians and stage actors are better adapting to voiceover than on-camera actors?
Well, actually, I wouldn't say that. I'd say that singers, musicians, because pitch, inflection is the same thing. I think that anyone who's using the voice as a tool like that, I've worked with a lot of movie actors and stage actors that are not very good at voice acting because they can read it differently each time. They can use physical crutch to sort of convince you of a character. We voice actors only have this. That's our tool. So for me, singing helped me as a voice actor because I could change the pace, I could inflect a word because I knew how to use that instrument. So that would be my answer.
That's a difficult question because I've noticed that when you have celebrities who do voice acting, for example, Patton Oswalt, he is a comedian, and so comedians, and Antonio Banderas, who is a very funny actor, and he's very musical. So it does seem to help. There's a sort of innate rhythmic thing where you're just standing alone behind a microphone, and maybe having those sensibilities kind of fires up your imagination. Whether you're doing something that you can't see the video or you can, there is a connection to it, and it's hard to explain. I've wondered about that myself. But yeah, there is.
Is it okay? No problem.
Yeah, because a lot of celebrities who dubbed Miyazaki films said that they had difficulty because they had never done anything like that.
Well, a lot of celebrities do prelay shows where they record the actors first and then animate, right?
Yeah.
Very few of them do dubs like we do, which requires timing. That's 50% acting, 50% technical. We want to read it a certain way, but it doesn't fit that way. Okay, we'll make that same kind of read work faster with these breaks. That's what we know how to do.
Yeah, it is very technical, and you do have to improvise, and the person who wrote or adapted the script might see it differently from you.
Yes.
So when you're in the booth and it's go time, a lot of times you just have to think of something, or you have to say, how about this, and they'll work with you on that. So there's plenty of improvisation as well.
All right.
Good question, yes.
Yes.
Way to represent with your swag.
Yeah.
Woo!
That's awesome.
Very cool, awesome.
Good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Hi, I'm Noah.
Hey, no.
My question is, how did it feel when Brock was written out of the show?
It's all right. I mean, all of those things are right. I mean, you're happy to be working in any sort of format. So it's like, you know, the fact that Brock was in more than one show is a good thing. You know, I have a statue of Brock and a statue of James and a little tiny statue of Kaiba just to keep him in check in my studio. So they're never really gone, right? So, you know, usually what happens is the creators do something like that, and then the fans complain, and then wait a second, he didn't really die. Here he is, he's back. Right? That's kind of cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
What's your name?
Tyler, tilt that microphone down. Come on, there you go.
Why are Brock's eyes always closed?
So, does anyone know the one episode where Brock opened his eyes? Did it scare you all? Did you have nightmares?
Oh, I know what episode that was.
I'm glad that you know what episode that was. Never watch it again. We got a note once that said, we're going to open Brock's eyes in the next episode, and I said, that's a terrible idea. And they said, well, no, we're going to do it. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. And so they opened the eyes, and they were bigger than anything else, and they had a tiny, tiny little pupil. And then the next episode, they closed them. I just think Brock, I mean, I have kind of squinty eyes anyway. It's like, you know, it's a light thing. It's like when things are bright. But do you also know why those eyes in the Japanese animation are shaped like that? Any of them nice big sort of doughy? Anyone want to guess what was a very influential
Disney?
company? Thank you. Who said Disney? Bambi. Bambi is the source of all of those eyes in the Japanese animation. There
I
you
thought
go.
it was because Misty kept pulling at his ear, so.
Not the
It's like
eye!
plastic surgery.
Right, there you go. Good question.
So things I've learned so
I think
far
it's because he
today,
was trying to
rotating
make
doors,
it
men
like
first,
that.
and Bambi with the eyes. This has been so educational.
I'm telling you, two
Me
things.
too,
to
me
go.
too.
Okay, so
Oh,
what's
I
the
didn't know
best
that about
type?
Robo.
Hey, nice hat. Yeah.
Hi there.
What's the best type? Okay.
And my
You can do
question is, did you guys play Pokemon Go when it was like popular?
When it was popular.
I have never played Pokemon Go.
Excuse
I
us?
haven't tried it yet.
I didn't.
Okay, I won't try it.
When it first came out, people kept sending me screenshots of Squirtle where they named it Eric Stewart, which was really sweet. But here's my thing about that game. You know what I wish that game did instead of the way it was designed? I wish it had audible cues of where to go. Why? Because we spend our life doing this. And conversation to me is what makes us human, right? So I saw packs of friends standing together with their faces in their phones and they're 2 feet from each other. Imagine if you had to wear an earpiece that said 5 feet forward, make a right. And so that you could look at each other
Awesome.
instead of looking at the stupid screen on your phone.
Sounds
So I
amazing.
didn't play that game because I spent too much time looking at my phone anyway, and I didn't want to promote anymore looking
Are
at
we
your
up to
phone.
the
Look at
request?
each other. Talk to each
we up
other.
to the
Get your
request?
face out of the phone.
Maybe that's,
Just one question.
Maybe that's
A request though.
Maybe
Huh?
they're
A
baby
request though.
testing.
How many
Say
what?
copyright,
A request.
copyright. You heard it first,
A
it's on
request?
camera.
For
There
what?
you go. And they should have had me. I played the Pokedex. They should have had me as Dexter telling you where to go. What? He did what?
Yeah, you can do it. You can say it.
Squirtle, Clutter Pokemon. Yeah, I was Dexter. Hey.
I'm Zach, a longtime Pokemon fan, and I also
Well done.
So, as somebody who wants to, get into the voice acting field, and talking to veterans such as yourself, how, since Pokemon Episode 1, how do you feel the industry has changed since then? And do you think there's more of a demand for voice actors, or there's just a select few that just keep getting jobs or whatever? What's your stance?
Well, the short answer, since we are pressed for time, if you had come on the first day, I did a panel on how to get into the industry of voice acting, by the way. But the short answer is this. In the beginning, no one wanted to do anime dubs, right? And in the very beginning, because I started working in commercial voiceovers, in the 80s, those people were, oh, you're doing commercials? That's not acting, right? But they were the secret millionaires, right? Celebrities started to realize this was a really good way to make money. So now everybody in the world thinks that they can be a voice actor. Now, I'm not saying that everyone can, but the majority of celebrities play themselves.
Should I pause it?
I like to put that wall
No,
up.
ask your
I don't
question.
want you to
Have it or
necessarily
have it
know
or
that
you
that's
want it.
Eric Stewart playing that character, right? I want you to
I'll
say
hold it
that's
for
the
you.
character and then
Please.
go, oh, I didn't realize that Brock was also James and Kaiba. That's cool. Okay, he's a talented guy. There are actors in a lot of these cartoons or movies where it's like, yeah, they cast them because you're going to know in a second that Owen Wilson is the car. And that's because they want to sell movie tickets.
Right.
So the industry has changed. So everybody with a studio, everybody with a microphone, everybody in the world that is an actor now considers himself a voice actor. I don't consider myself a stage actor because I never studied that stuff. Maybe that's the answer I'm giving you, is that I think that if people want to be voice actors, they might want to study it the same way that if I want to call myself a stage actor, I should study it.
Alright, but I'm just, is it harder to
It's always a hard profession. Acting is always a hard profession, but that doesn't mean don't do it.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Oh, nice cosplay. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
I have the...
Wait, what's your name?
Oh, my name's Anthony.
Hello, Anthony.
And I had the question about why Brock's eyes are always closed, but...
So now you got to think of another one.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask Rachel?
So this is a question for both of you. What's the best type and why?
You want to start this answer?
The best type of Pokemon?
Yeah.
Well, I like the water type. There's an episode with Misty saying water types are like water. They can change their form in different... oh, somebody... Call me, reach me if you want to... No, come on. That's an awesome song. And I love that show, by the way. No, but water Pokemon can conform to any situation. Water in a glass or in a cup, and they do. But I also like fire type. I love Charizard. I love Gyarados. I love those, really mighty fighting types of Pokemon. So I like the water and the fire, the opposites. Yeah.
I like the water because I told you I like Squirtle, and the water gun attack was not a sound effect, it was me going. So that was always my favorite.
Alright, you know what? Tilt the microphone back up.
Oh, okay.
He's got too many.
I have too many cameras, man.
That's alright.
Too many electronics.
Right?
What's your name?
Hi. Oh, okay. Hi guys, how you doing? No, my name is Pedro. On YouTube, my name is Immediate. How you guys doing? First off, I want to say you guys are an inspiration. You guys are an inspiration to a lot of us.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Please don't forget. A lot of us grew up with you guys, and a lot of us have, dreams and aspirations because of what you guys have showed us.
Thank you. That's very flattering.
So you guys are amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate
So
that.
I know that a lot of people are asking you a bunch of, questions. Some are deep, some are crazy. I want to ask a very fun question. This is kind of like a little game with you guys, if you're willing. Very quick. Basically, it's a game on my channel called Media Mash, where basically you guys answer a question and then kind of do a quick little argument of why your answer is better than the others.
But you got to do this quick, my friend.
Very quick, very quick. So the question is, which trainer is stronger, Brock or Misty? So, 1 minute. Start the fight, media match, let's go.
Misty. There's no doubt about it. When you feel those fingers like a crab's claw on your ear, trust me, Misty, hands down.
Awesome.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that statement.
There you go.
All right, thank you guys, thank you. Stay amazing.
Yeah, sure.
It's very nice.
What's your name?
Hi, I'm Robbie. Nice to meet you. First of all, you guys are my childhood, my heroes.
Oh, thank you.
This is more of a request.
What's it? Okay.
I know that Meowth isn't here, but can you do your blasting off again for me?
Just like,
We're blasting off again!
That was great. Yes.
1 second, we're changing out the microphone.
Stand by.
Here we go. Alright, gotta give it up for AP over there. Alright.
I have another.
Great. What's your name?
Well, that one works much better.
So much better. Just cheer crazy and everything. Is it turned on?
Who's a better trainer? Forfeit. Misty.
He's too good.
That was funny.
Yo,
It's all right. We probably could hear you. I'm sure that you can project from the back of the room.
That was so funny.
I know. Yes.
If not, we can use mine for right now.
There we go. Stand by.